Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kenny Conversation, brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high performance aftermarket car parts. Remember to go to jegs.com for everything you need to fix your vehicles up. And they tell me right now they're all about Jeep parts and truck parts. And boy, oh boy, does this next lady understand sponsorship. My dear friend, and she truly is, I've known her for years, the great Kelley Earnhardt Miller. How you doing, Kelley?
Yay! I'm doing great. I'm so glad that you asked me this. Um, yeah, we go back a long ways, right?
I think
So
so. I don't
we do.
I yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's something we can talk about too. But let's
Yes.
introduce you properly. Kelley is the business leader and CEO and co-owner of Junior Motorsports and the daughter of the great Dale Earnhardt Sr. Um, so there's a lot of people, Kelley, that don't know our past because, like Brother Rusty says, there's a generation gap now. Uh,
I
it, it,
noticed that's been a theme with you lately, this
yeah,
generation gap.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you hear that. I get on tangents, and I tend to use them because it pisses me off a little bit when people don't know, you know, uh, say Bill Elliott or Dale Senior or Cale Yarborough. Um, like those pictures in the background there. What is that, Buddy Baker up there?
Yep, Buddy Baker, the ghost car. Yep. I've got a little good wrench, one of Dad's helmets here. So my Papa's trophies over here. Yeah.
I love that. I want to start out fun. I want to brag on you.
Right.
You're very mature. You're very influential, and you said something to me that I teach my best friends. Uh, and I probably told 10 people. The people that I'm closest to could be Doug Schoenfeld from Schoenfeld Headers. I said, let me tell you what Kelley Earnhardt told me one day.
Oh gosh, I'm
She
scared.
she said, Kenny Wallace, I love you because you're a no maintenance friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you might
I
not
like no
remember.
maintenance people.
Well, when you're famous like you are, and people want to claw to you, they want to cling to you. You might have forgot about that. Do you remember that? And talk about
Yeah,
no
well,
maintenance.
I do think I remember that, and, I mean, I mean that in, like, the kindest way for people, because I you know, it's not just me. Everybody's busy in this world. It's not just me. Mamas are busy, business owners are busy, students are busy, racers are busy. Like we're all life is busy. This little device right here, the fact that we're doing what we're doing, has just made everything so accessible, right? And it's disheartening that you can't keep up with everybody that you want to keep up with. And I thank gosh for Facebook and social media and people that are real like you on there that you can keep up with life. And so then when you do get that opportunity to see you in person or text with you about something, I'm kind of caught up from Facebook. So I might can ask you about something or say, you just got back from vacation, or whatever.
And I
And
did.
right, and I love that instead of, "Well, God, it's been forever since you talked to me. It's been forever since you called me. You don't ever call me anymore." That's high maintenance to me because in this life, we are spread thin. And I'm a people lover. I don't know if I'm not say I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people happy. So I like to connect with people. I like relationships with people. And so, yeah, I mean, that's why I said that. Like, I love it when you can just pick right up. You know, you and I do go way back. I mean, you were on Jimmy Ellige's team, my ex husband. Um, just obviously growing up in the sport, I looked up to your family because you were a racing family, a family of brothers. My dad and Rusty's connection. There's just so many touch points. And the greatest thing about your family is your mama, Judy.
She's next on my list. Why? And there's a
Why?
lot to be
Yes.
said about this. Number one,
Yeah.
why do you like my mom so much? And I want to let you know, my mom would say to me, you don't ever call me. And I'm like, Mama, it goes both
Goes
ways.
both ways.
You
Right.
call me and I'm going to answer because you're number
Exactly.
one. If I'm on a
Exactly.
phone, I'm going to go, hey, hold on. My mom's on the other line.
Well,
Why does, yeah,
I got to be, I was the account manager for Rusty at, uh, Action Performance. So he was one of, Miller Lite and he were one of my clients, so to speak. And I got the opportunity to go to Graceland, with them. And when they had the Graceland Elvis car, and I'm pretty certain that's when I was, introduced to your mom. And I don't know. I mean, she just like once I met your mom, she made the connection to me for the three of you. And I mean, she just is just a genuine fun. Again, like I said, you run into her. I just saw her somewhere and I'm trying to remember where. And I
right,
ran up to
grocery store.
her, probably the grocery store.
Yeah.
No, her and one of your daughters were somewhere with me and one of the grandkids.
Brittany and Lila.
We were in the same space for some reason, and I
Yeah.
ran over to her and I was like, "Oh my god, it's so good to see you." She's just always one of my favorite people. She doesn't take any stuff. I watch her on Facebook and the things she posts.
Oh,
I just love her.
yeah.
I just love her. So anyway, yeah.
And we got a lot to talk about, everybody. We're going to get to the charters. We're going to rough her up about that. But calm down about the charters, everyone. Let's lower that a little bit right now. Let me talk to Kelley. Let me talk about Kelley for a little bit. Um, in that same space, Kelley, um, I don't always want to go back to your father. I mean, my brother's Rusty, so I understand. Well, it, do you strong arm so you can keep your life organized? I mean, in other words, sometimes do you catch yourself being too famous? Um, what is an Earnhardt like? I always told people your father would hurt my feelings at time because he was so good to me, and then he would walk by me like he didn't know me. Uh, is
Yeah,
that
no,
an Earnhardt
that's not
trait?
me.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Tell me about being
No.
Earnhardt and being famous.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not me. And Kenny, I think it's not me because I lived in that shadow too. I lived in the shadow of my dad being famous and the same thing. I talk about in my book that I wrote, Drive. My dad is by far the most awesome person in the universe as far as I'm concerned. The most awesome race car driver, just all of these great things. But our dad-daughter relationship was tough. And it was the same thing. Where was the time for Kelley? Where was Kelley valued by her dad? Where was Kelley's worth, in her dad's life? And I struggled with all of that. And so I believe that childhood piece of me, I take into the future for better or worse in just the way I treat people. And I want people to know that they're appreciated and that they're valued and that they're important. Good people, not bad people. I want the good people to know they're all those things. um, and so I try real hard, at work. I know all of my employees' names. I know their kids. I know what they're doing. Just like I mentioned you on vacation, I that connection is important to me, that I follow up with people. If they've told me that they had somebody sick, I follow up with an employee here. Hey, how's such and such doing? What's going on? To me, those you can't do that enough for people, especially in this day and age when life is tough and mental illness is there and all of these things that are there. You just can't be a kind enough person, which to me just means just appreciating people.
So a couple things. Matthew Dillner, I said something to him direct messaging on X that I was going to talk to you,
Yeah.
and he said she's the best boss I ever worked for.
Oh.
So now here I'm going to connect the dots. So like you, I love my brother Rusty dearly, but he's mean. And and because I watch him be mean to people, because like your father, they were so focused. And there was this story I heard that most successful people are mean, got an edge to them. And because I watched Rusty be like that, I'm like, oh my God, I can't be like that. So, so you and I just want to comment on that. Matthew says you're the best boss he's ever worked for. And I want you to know that I tried to be overly nice because Rusty was so harsh making it to the big time.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, I love you for that, and I know that your employees do too because they say nice things behind your back.
Well,
Uh,
that's wonderful. That's
yeah.
awesome to hear.
Okay, let's move here. So many years ago, I saw something that made me smile like I'm smiling right now. It said Kelley Earnhardt Miller voted one of the influential and business people in NASCAR. That was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Tell me about that time.
It was that was during the time of us deciding to move away from Dell Earnhardt Incorporated, and I think a lot of that most influential was obviously around my brother because I was his manager and still am today. And the decisions that we had to make, both professionally and personally, to make the decision to leave Dell Earnhardt Incorporated and everything that we knew had been built for the benefit of Dell and I, and knowing that that's what our dad wanted for us, and that we were letting a piece of that down, even though he wasn't here to like talk with us about it. But we knew in our hearts that that was like a letdown because we knew, but then we knew that, Teresa here, didn't want that for us. And so I think that whole time, and then going out and talking and negotiating with Gibbs and Richard and Mr. Hendrick, and netting out where we netted, and all the hoopla on the sponsorship that we were able to achieve with Mountain Dew and National Guard at the time in 2008, and just really set the path. I took my brother's career at that time and charged forward with it like only I knew how to do. I had learned from the best in terms of my dad in business, working at Action Performance. Licensing was so huge then. I got the right people in place. I hired Joe Mattis. I just got the right people in place, attorney wise and things like that, and just said, this is the business we're going to build and this is what we're going to do. So, I give a lot of credit to that scenario of us making that decision to that award right there.
That's badass. So I want to compact this question. I know you. This is how far back we go. I'm not bragging on that. Everybody, don't comment. Oh, you all about Kelley Earnhardt Miller. We got, as they say in AM debate radio, I got to paint the picture.
Yeah.
And the picture that I remember is that you were a really good race car driver, and
they said I was the best.
Well, no, you were. You really were. So here's my question. At what point did you go from race car driver to business person? When it's like, hey, I'm a race car driver. Oh,
yeah,
I'm going to become, me and my brother are so tight. We're going to go business. When was that?
Yeah. So great question. I guess, I'll just tell you how it happened. I mean, I was a good student. My dad had high expectations of Dell and I to make straight A's. If you didn't make straight A's, you were on the shit list.
Listen, kids, listen to that.
Listen, kids. I made straight A's. I didn't cause any problems for my dad from that perspective. And my dad wanted me to go to college. So you got to paint the picture. It's just me and Dale in our home. My brother Kerry lived outside of our home. So I'm the first kid that's going to go to college. And my dad really wanted me to go to college. So I did. I went to UNC Wilmington, and I was a tomboy growing up. I wanted to race cars. I wanted to deer hunt. I wanted to ride motorcycles. I wanted to do all these things. And my dad was always like, that's not for girls. You're gonna skin up your legs. I'll never forget when he told me that about motorcycle riding. You're gonna skin up your legs, and you don't want your legs all skin up and scarred and da 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 da. You're a girl. And it was a time then, don't get me wrong. So I go to college, and I'm in Wilmington for 3 years, and I get a set of flowers from my dad.
Oh.
And it said, no, I don't cry. It said, it's been so long since I've seen you.
I love you.
I forgot what you look like.
I love
Because
you.
I never came home. I got to college and I was like, whoo, I'm out of here. I'm in Wilmington. I'm at the beach. I got a full-time job at the mall. And you work 365 days at the mall. And so I got that. I got that flowers. And I was like, oh God, it's just been forever since I've been home. So I I I guess that made me decide to move home. And I moved home and I finished my college career at UNCC. And so I moved home in my junior year, and it took me 4.5 years to finish up because I did that. And I said to my dad when I moved home, I said, I will only move home if I can do two things: race cars and have my own apartment. I did not want to go back and live with them.
I'll be
So,
honest.
yep. So when I came home in that was let's see, 93, the summer of 93. Guess what race car I got? I got my brother's orange Chevy street stock. It was scratched everywhere but the roof. You need multiple tetanus shots to drive this race car.
Yeah.
So I took this car out to Concord, loaded it on the open trailer, drove to Concord every weekend, ran this street stock. My cousin Tony Jr. was running. Kevin Pinnell Tubier, who works at SHR now, was running. Hank Parker Jr. was running, and we had a ball. And I mean, this street stock car was nasty to drive. And funny story, I got knocked out in the payout line at Concord because I beat this girl's boyfriend. And
Oh, wow, that's real.
She was standing behind me in the payout line, and to get our $30, right, for a street stock race. And I turned around, and when I turned around, she was swinging. And she said that I passed her boyfriend, and she didn't like the way I passed her boyfriend, and I beat her boyfriend. And there's that.
God,
story.
this is so good.
I know, right? So, one time too, a funny story with Dale. My mom was in town from Virginia, and so one of my dad's employees had a street stock car also that he ran. So he wasn't going to run that weekend. So Dale and I loaded up both cars. He loaded up Todd's car, and I got my car, and we drove to Concord. Took our mom because we wanted to see a race. So I mean, I got pictures of me out there putting air in my tires. I did it all by myself, and Dale, we're starting the race, and I'm starting in front of Dale, and Dale barrels into me and crushes his radiator. See ya, Dale.
You knocked him out and didn't even try from behind. You wrecked him from behind.
That's right. So from there, my dad put the late model stock car together. Okay. So I'm in school. I'm working full time for a hospitality company that did the GM Goodwrench and AC Delco stuff. I'm working part time for them, and I'm racing the street stocks on the side. Well, my dad put the late model program together for Dale, Carey, and myself. That's when I ran the 38 late model car. I was seeing if Dale doesn't have my back.
Was it Sizzler Steakhouse?
Western Sizzlin'. Yeah. So it was Mom and Pop's ham, Western Sizzlin', Western Steer, and Bennett's Steakhouse, which was a barbecue place. And so that was a 3-year deal. I raced late models all around, Tri-County. We went to Nashville, North Wilkesboro, Hickory, Myrtle Beach, and raced and had a lot of fun.
Let me say this.
Yep.
Just listening to you, I don't like to interrupt, but I just want to say this. You have already, everything you just said, you've gone to college, you've raced.
Yeah.
You're already ready. I mean, you're
well-rounded, right? Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. So then my dad bought Sports Image, who did all the licensing, Hank Jones company that did all my dad's product. And I went to work there. And I got in there working full time. I would leave on Fridays at 2:00 to go racing. And I just started doing well. I started getting promoted. That was when I was Rusty's account manager at Sports Image, when we merged with Action Performance in 1997. So I graduated college in 95. I'm still racing in 96. The late model program kind of fell together because I'm working. You know what my brother's got to do? Work in the race shop. Work in the race shop.
I remember your dad trying to get him out of bed by 11 or noon.
Yeah.
That was that era. Dale Jr. won't get out of bed.
and so I'll just fast forward this story. My dad, I know, was extremely proud of me. He sent me to Sports Image to work. He sent me to Action Performance to work. It was, I kind of always arm's length business, from the Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Everybody's like, why didn't you ever work there? And so this is 97. I'm doing really well. I'm getting promoted. I'm moving up the ladder. I'm over purchasing. I'm going to Phoenix with Fred Wagonalls and doing business. I mean, I'm doing all these great things, right? I'm making a 6-figure salary at 27. And dad dies. 2001.
I'm so sorry.
But you know what? I got set up for success because of that. All of those things that happened so I'm still working for Action Performance, and you know what life was like then. We were going through the autopsy picture debacle. Obviously, when you make merchandise for someone, everybody's fiending for it after the death, right?
Yeah.
And so I got caught up at work in the middle of family problems because Teresa was focused on the autopsy. She just lost her husband, for God's sakes, right? I don't say that negatively that I got caught up, but I'm sitting in meetings going, we need these approvals. We need to make more die casts. We need to make more of this. And I was like, man, this is just too much for me. Like, I can't do this, right? This is my dad. This is my family. I can't be put in this position. So I called Dale and Dale always told me he could never afford for me to come work for him. So I called Dale in August of 2001, and I was like, look, I'm going to take a pay cut. I'm told this story. It's in my book and everything. I'm going to take a pay cut. I got to come work for you. I got to
this will make people go after your book. Driven,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Drive. Yep.
Drive.
Yep. And I said, I gotta come work for you. You need me and I need you, and I'll come work for whatever. So I took a 50% pay cut and went to start managing his business, because here's what I knew. I knew that Teresa would not look after Dale Jr. like my dad looked after Dale Jr. Dale Jr. and I were close growing up. Our parents divorced when we were 4. I mothered the hell out of that kid. I gave him the lunch money every day. I did everything for him. I financed his first computer.
Financed
at Best Buy. I had to co-sign. Yeah. I was just talking about layaway the other day. Isn't that so funny? All these things, co-sign and finance. Yeah.
That was a good thing.
Right. And so it all worked out because I didn't know my dad was going to die. And I was, so racing not working out, I stopped racing just because that fell apart, and I was doing so good in business that we just didn't try to make it any different. And now then I understood why, right? We always don't know the plan. That was the plan. And I wholeheartedly believe that was the plan. So I started working for Dale, and here I am 23 years later.
Yeah. And I want to let everybody know, and that, my friends, like Paul Harvey says, that's the rest of the story.
Right.
And that's why she was voted one of the most top influential people in business and NASCAR, because you went to college, even though maybe you didn't feel your dad's love and it was rough on you. Like sometimes I don't feel Rusty's love. He's busy chewing my ass out. but I mean,
I knew I was loved. I just wanted to be loved differently. I knew I was loved.
Yes. And now you become so smart because you go to college, you learn how to dot the I's, cross the T's, where the commas at, and quote all that stuff. And wow, that's a really good story. So we got to, your book, I want to make sure everybody knows about that. That's pretty incredible.
My book I wrote in COVID. God bless, I wrote it before COVID, but it released April 7th of 2020, which was 3 weeks after COVID started. So it was not as fun and successful as that could have been, but it's still out there in the market. Look it up. It's called Drive, 9 Ways to Win in Business and Life, written by me. And it's a good book. Everybody likes it that reads it.
Kelley, I believe in re-releases. Lots of stories out there.
Yeah.
Things get lost. Movies that get re-released, and so maybe we need to re-release that just because of the story you just told is pretty fantastic. And people have these images, Kelley, that you're Dale Earnhardt, daughter, and he laid it all out there for you. But
You read
you
my book.
worked for it, and you went to work for other people.
That's
So
right.
do you think the reason you didn't work at DI is because that would have been family working for family? Do you think that was strategy on his part?
I think a little bit, but I think it had more to do with Teresa than anything, to be quite honest. But
Yeah.
and so he could put me in arm's length businesses that made sense, and he did. And I worked at the dealership. I was a receptionist at my dad's dealership when I was in the summer, and I sold shoes at Peggy's Shoes in Mooresville, and
Damn, girl,
I worked at Winn-Dixie. That was my favorite job, but I
this
got
is
grounded
good.
and had to quit.
What'd you get grounded for?
I was at a boy's house I wasn't supposed to be.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it.
so I was a senior in high school.
Your dad grounded you? What did he say to
My
you?
dad was tough, buddy. And so
Girl.
this is what happened. We were at the farm on Highway 3,
Yeah.
and we lived across town on the lake. And I told my dad that I had to go to CVS to pick up some school stuff for a project.
Were you lying?
I'm a senior. Yeah,
Were you lying?
I was lying. And so I wanted to go see my boyfriend. And my dad didn't really allow me to have boyfriends. And in that day, like dating and boyfriends were a little different anyway, right? Like it was just different. So I to get to his house, there's like on Highway 3, you can take Highway 3 to 150 and go to my lake house. 2 turns. To get to this guy's house was a little back neighborhood that you cut through to cut down by the church, to cut down by the high school, to cut down by here. What my dad did to take that route that day, I will never understand. I guess just to catch me.
No.
Yeah. So he takes this route, which is not the route he takes every day. And my car's parked out in front of these people's house. It's like just, an older town area with just house by house by house. And my boyfriend's mom says, Kelley, your dad's about to knock on our door.
Did your heart come out of your chest?
Oh, I mean, when you got in trouble with my dad, you got in trouble. You feared for your life.
Oh my gosh.
And he knocked on the door and he said, you tell Kelley she is to come get in her car right now and to get her ass home. And oh my God, I probably rode with my butt clenched the whole time, right? Yeah, I got in so much trouble, but I got grounded and had to quit my job at Winn-Dixie.
Do you think you got? I think you got ratted out. I think somebody's.
I don't know. I mean, who would have rat me? I don't know.
Wow,
or maybe he just had an intuition. Who knows?
He knew his girl. That's funny and sweet at the same. It makes me happy that he loved you so much. He wanted to protect you.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much. That was a wonderful 20 minutes right there. A lot about you. And I know it's in your book, but you know me, I'm big on that generation gap. And this one's only been 2 years since COVID. Right. So we're gonna sell more copies. Okay. When I go to social media, I see everything you say. And you were sweet to me about a week ago. You said, how about this for a happy story, Kenny Wallace? This Dale Earnhardt, this Dale Jr. Foundation, Junior Motorsports is celebrating.
You were on a soapbox that day talking about unhappy things.
Yeah.
I forget what it was. There was something going on and everything was unhappy in the world.
Yeah, I think it's therapy for me because like the Kenny right here is way different than the Kenny on the couch in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And then there's coffee with Kenny. Then there's a Kenny right here. Like, I don't know coffee with Kenny. I don't know who that is.
He's the unmedicated version of you when you wake up in the morning.
And then there's the Kenny up at the race shop where I'm, getting my race car ready. Yep. Then there's the dad. I think there's 4 or 5 of me actually. So, okay. The Dale Jr. Foundation to celebrate your brother with 1 million followers on Instagram.
Yep.
You're donating $1 million. And I did a little research last night because I knew we were going to talk today. This also Feed North Carolina. So just tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dale has a foundation that we started in 2007. And you get all the requests. Will you send this for this? Will you send that for that? Will you support this? And I just told Dale, man, we need to really corral this because we have a lot of opportunity to use our celebrityism and famousness for good.
You talk
And
like me.
right. So let's corral this and let's focus on youth and let's do this. So that's what we did. And so one of the projects that you were talking about, Feed and See, that's our soup kitchen for Mooresville. It's got a nice new name, but it started as the Mooresville Soup Kitchen, which we've supported all of our time. But they want to eradicate the need for a soup kitchen. They want to eradicate homelessness. And since COVID, as so many know, you don't even have to be homeless anymore to have problems. Your firefighter teacher family, they're not making it. They're struggling. Their groceries are more expensive, all these things, right? So Feed and See is an organization that just provides opportunity for people that need it to better themselves. They got a grocery store, they have culinary classes where they teach people skills to go out and get jobs. They you can go there and eat every day, and you know what? You only pay a donation. There's no charges on the menu, and all of their culinary school people cook your food and fix the food. So they you can go there and take a shower and do your laundry and all those kinds of things. You can get counseling services. You can figure out how to go get the right kind of housing for you if if you can't afford housing, etc. So tons of stuff there. But to build this facility and to charge this course that they have, they had a lot of different opportunities, and they built a garden. And this garden feeds the restaurant, that feeds the culinary classes, that feeds the ability for these people to get out on their feet and make a way for themselves. So my mom was very into gardening. We lost my mom in 2019 from lung cancer.
I'm sorry.
65.
Sorry.
And this project just spoke to us, Mimi's Garden. And so it is about maybe a 2-acre garden. We just added a kids sensory area so that kids can go out there and have some fun. We have these tall sunflowers out there with all of my mom's grandkids' names on it. So it's Mimi's Garden, little ladybugs. And they're just growing stuff left and right. They're growing flowers for the table. They're growing, all kinds of stuff. So the $1 million, Dale's Foundation, every year we raise at least $1 million, if not more. And we wanted to do something. We didn't want to say, oh, hey, Dale's got, 1 million followers. How great. We wanted to do good with it. And so we came up with this idea to take the top 10 states where we're followed on Instagram. And in those 10 cities, not states, in those 10 cities, we identified an organization that we would support normally through our efforts of the foundation. And we are donating $100,000 to each of those 10 organizations to make the $1 million. And just to celebrate, our fan base is the reason we get to do this, right, Kenny? Everything that we touch and do. And so to celebrate our fans and their loyalty and their following and their fun, that's what we did. So we put it back in their cities, and it's awesome.
I asked you a question about this, and you bring up things. I listen to Howard Stern. I don't agree with everything, but I like how Howard Stern interviews people. So I'm listening, and now I'm going to ask you a question that I never dreamed of. But mental health, I hear more and more about this. I grew up I was born in 1963. I'm a lot older than you, and
not a lot, just 8 years, 9 years.
Well, yeah, but I remember in my day fending for myself.
You didn't talk about it. No, yeah.
You
it's
just
a bad thing.
You're weak. Get it done yourself. So I want to ask you your opinion. Do you think mental health has always been around, and for some reason it just now struck a chord in this time? You had the 1600s, the 1700s, you had all this life, hundreds of years. And now the period that you and I live in now, everybody's like, man, this guy's.
Well, I think mental health's always been an issue. And I guess I would frame it up like this. Like, I think mental health has become more of an issue because life is changing and growing, and I think about, if you're talking about the 17, let's go to the 1900s, because I don't really know much about 17 or 1800s. About the 1900s,
Yeah.
where mom and kids and dad worked the farm, worked the whatever, worked the deal, did what they did, fed themselves, right? They had to depend on themselves, right? Was it hard? But they were a unit. They did it together, Then you move on, into, I mean, of course, that's like the early 1900s, but as you move through decades, our world is just changing so fast. And the ability to talk about mental health is there now, right? You only had to go. I didn't have anybody to talk about my feelings when I was a kid. My dad said, you do this, you do it this way, and you do it now. And if you don't do it, then
I'm gonna bust your ass.
Don't get this. You don't get this. I'll bust your ass. You don't get this. Now, not saying that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah, right.
But what did Kelley hear? If you don't do this, you're not good enough. Right? I've been through a lot of therapy. I got my own childhood trauma, and I talk about that in my book too.
Yeah, me too.
And there's a place for it all, I guess. I think there's just an outlet. Social media has made it so much worse because I didn't really know that I needed to talk to anybody. I didn't know it was any different. Now I get to look across the internet, and I get to decide whether people are prettier than me, whether they have more money than me. And I'm talking about if I was a teen, right? Like, it's just crazy. All the things that our kids, especially, and our teens and our 20-some-year-olds, the pressure on them to be something, and they can't, and the world's too critical if you're not what they think you need to be, right? The world's so critical.
You wrote that just a little bit.
Yes.
Tell me. Okay, so I want to leave that up there for a little bit.
If you don't show appreciation to those that deserve it, they'll learn to stop doing the things you appreciate.
Okay, so when Kelley Earnhardt Miller, when she speaks, I listen. You don't got to name names. When I say things, there's a person that triggered me.
I was triggered. Absolutely.
Okay,
I was triggered by somebody in my family. And for me to process those thoughts, I needed to put that out there.
Good for you.
I didn't have the ability to put that out there 30 years ago. I didn't have Instagram, like, it's a way of processing, right? Like, and it's a way of speaking, and I think talks are healthy, and I think we're also scared to talk to people. We're also scared to talk to people we love. We're scared to let them down. We're scared to disappoint them. We're scared to be judged, all of those different kinds of things, even with our own family, let alone all the goons that live on social media.
Coffee, we're the same. You and I are the same. Coffee with Kenny is years ago, everybody wrote in a diary.
Yeah.
That's my diary. Coffee with Kenny. This morning I woke up and I was jacked up on Mountain Dew about these local tracks need to be over at 9:30 at night.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
So note to self on social media, if you see Kelley posting a lot of stuff about that, she got something going on.
Well, that's what we got to. I love it completely. Okay. So I do this with everybody. See here? I work hard. I don't want to embarrass myself. So this one here I wrote, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Can you tell your brother, Dale Jr., can you tell him what to do? And do you get in knockdown, drag out arguments? Have you ever thrown stuff at each other?
God.
How sister and brother are you?
All right. So, so until Probably until
15 years ago.
I would say 10, 12, 13 years ago, I could pretty much tell him whatever to do.
Right.
It was just him. If I said that such and such needed to be done for this cause or whatever it was, business wise or whatever. I mean, he was busy being a race car driver, and I did the business, and that was what we were doing. And it's funny. I was always just kind of the mother figure. We have a great relationship, but it's not like we ever spend a lot of time in each other's minds, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
When my dad died, we didn't even hardly talk about my dad's death. He did his things with his friends. I grieved in my way. We didn't sit down and talk about things. We do that a lot more often now, which I love.
No maintenance brother.
I love it. And my brother's wife, Amy, has really brought him, into this world, right? Like, what's it like to answer to people and to know people and have relationships with people? Because in Dale's world, he was always used to being told what to do: sponsorship, driving, business. That was what drove it, right?
I never thought about it that way.
And so, he just went to the next. I mean, it started with Dad, Kenny. Dad always told us what to do.
Yeah.
When you went to dinner with my dad, you stood around the table to wait for him to tell you where to sit.
I believe that.
Yeah. You didn't just sit down.
Yeah.
So it started back then.
Yeah.
So we were always used to being told what to do.
It's funny because he did the same thing with all of us. Like we were on. I get it.
You just waited to hear what he said.
We would do photo sessions, and he would tell everybody, "All right, this is the last one." He told everybody what to do.
The buck stopped with him. It didn't matter. It did not matter. And so like, we probably had more situations where we've disagreed in the last 10 or 15 years than we ever did. And it's just simply because it's just not me and him anymore, right? And it's just not about business. He's got a wife, he's got kids, there's just so many more things that he's aware of and all. And our business, since he quit driving, he's very much more involved in our business. And I'll be like, well, I've always done it that way, and you just didn't know. I really upset him not too long ago because I said, and I didn't mean it in the way that he took it, but I said the words, "I've ran this business for 25 years. I don't really need you." And I didn't mean that I didn't need him, because he's the reason that I got to run the business.
Yeah, I get it.
But what I meant was, I've been making all these decisions, and
he was racing.
Yeah, if you want to be part of the decision, or if you want to be part of the situation, let's do it together. And if you don't, just stay home, right? Well, I'll still get stuff done. And it really hurt his feelings. But we had a good talk about it. That's the good thing, is we can talk about that kind of stuff now. And there was one other time I got mad at work, which he and I have talked about this too, so I don't mind sharing it. But I got really frustrated with him at work about, I don't know, it's probably like 2015. And going down to my office, I had all of my dad's uniforms lined up in these cases that people had given me. I'm lucky to have a Tasmanian Devil uniform that a friend gave to me. I'm lucky to have a different uniform that I think Tony Stewart gave to me. So I have these couple of dad things, three suits lined up. And I got so mad I was going to quit. And I took all them suits out of there, and I put Dale Jr. suits in them.
You were pissed.
And, I took all my stuff out of my office and took it all home in a box. And well, he didn't know, because he didn't come in the office that much.
You couldn't get him, damn it.
And so I got over it, and I got over it within about a week, but I never put my suits back up. And it took him forever to realize that my dad's suits were missing. And so one day we were talking about it, and I told him, I was like, I got really mad with you, and I almost quit. You didn't know I quit, but I did quit, but you didn't know it.
Yeah, you got him.
All of it down, and it's all in my house in a tub now. And so he's like, "God."
I'm thinking physically, you had to be enraged because you had to do the work. to get everything out of there.
Yeah.
And
I was in rage. I was in
yeah,
rage mode. Yeah.
well, we all do.
It
Love it.
happens, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
will do that to you.
Yeah.
Listen,
Love will
thank
do that to you. I love that. I'm gonna
love
remember that. Love will
love
do
will
that.
do that to you. Yeah,
Love will do
crazy
that to
love.
you.
Kim and I will get in an argument, and later on, I'm like, listen, sit down.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's hardcore. Woo. Kim grew up in the city. She'll bust your ass. It's like, honey, I love you.
And that's the thing about me. I need to calm down when I get mad. I need and if people continue to push me and push my buttons and push for more information and try to get me to say why, that don't go well. I need to get away from it. I need to calm down because I will do or say things that might not be the best things to do or say at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, I call that in Missouri. I call that going postal because the postal workers years ago, they just dealt with everybody came in the post office had an issue.
Mad.
And,
Yeah.
and finally the post office worker goes postal.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a bad time in life, and we won't go there, but they went postal. All right, let's have fun. And then we'll get to these charters because that's what's on the
On
docket.
everybody's mind, right?
Right. But I want to talk about Wyatt, your son, LW, your husband, and
Yep.
you have 3 children. Wyatt is with LW. He's a great racer. Of course, you have Carson and Kennedy, but let's go with LW. I really liked one of your social media posts. It made me. You were so real. You were on the road racing, but you said sheltering in place at the pilot.
Yeah.
Bad storms. Shed a little light on
Yeah.
Wyatt, what you're trying to do with him, and tell me about when you go racing with him.
Yeah. Yeah. So Wyatt started outlaw kart racing. And in 2020, right after, like August of 2020 was his first race, or July, and 8 years old. And my husband said, until he asks to race, he's not going to race. He's going to kill his first deer before he races.
Mm.
And so they were actually out in Illinois, putting up deer stands in July for the coming season. And our friend had an extra outlaw cart. And he's like, you know what? You're coming this weekend. Let Wyatt try this cart out. My son's doing it. Da, da, da. Well, guess what? We raced on Friday. We raced on Saturday. I get a call from my husband who says, hey, if we can work this out in 3 weeks, we can run the nationals at English Creek.
Yes.
In 2020, which is a big deal, in Knoxville, Iowa, near the Knoxville Raceway, to go to English Creek and run the nationals for outlaw karting. And I'm like, oh my God, where did this come from? Our boy wasn't going to race, and now all of a sudden we've ran one race and we're just going to do this. And he went out there and won the nationals after he raced for 5 or 6 times in the beginner box stock outlaw kart at 8 years old. So from there, we're running outlaw karts, micros. Our racing life today is 600 micro sprints. We run Millbridge every other week when they run, but we started traveling due to the outlaw kart traveling. We started traveling to the Midwest, and that's where we do a lot of racing. We come to Missouri, and when I say we come to all these places, we have a Super C camper, and we have a 26-foot trailer. Now we do race for Chad Boat. And so they carry our car most of the time. But when we were outlaw car racing, we carried everything. But we jump in our camper on a Thursday after school. Wyatt goes to a 3-day in school and 2-day out of school program. We jump in the camper Thursday afternoon. We drive 5 to 6 hours wherever we're headed. We get up Friday morning. We drive the other 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it is. We haul up to the dirt track. We set up camp. And we race Friday night and we race Saturday night, and we get back in the camper and we drive another hour or 2 at night. And then Sunday we finish the drive home. We race in this weekend. We're going to Coles County Speedway in Mattoon, Illinois. But we've come out to, we've driven to Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, and we've raced in Nebraska. We've ran into you on the road before in St. Louis. Yeah.
You're around me a lot. And I leave you alone. A lot of times you're
I don't even know you're there. I know.
But no, there are times you're an hour from my house.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Okay, so is he going to be is Wyatt? I see how talented he is.
Wyatt loves racing. He loves it.
Do you think as a child he just absorbed it, kind of like Chase Elliott did, Dale Jr. did? Why is he so good?
I think he did. So, my husband is a racer. Obviously, he moved down to North Carolina from Pennsylvania to race
Good
Xfinity
racer.
and ARCA, modified champion, and stopped racing when Wyatt was born at my request, I will
Wow.
say. I just thought it was, we're trying to live a life and race kids, and we were hobby racing,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
hobby racing and modifieds,
This ain't going anywhere. We're just gonna race is all we're gonna
Yeah,
do.
right.
I get it.
I think he's paid attention, but Kenny, I just think he has natural talent.
Yeah.
We go to a lot of racetracks that he's never set foot on and goes out there and runs well. He runs with the best of them. He races, some of my proudest. This is funny too. I like going to race with competition.
Yes.
I want to go race Frank Flood and all of these great micro racers with my 12-year-old son. And I want competition. I want to beat the best. I want to be among the best. I want to see Wyatt, be in 20th and work his way to 10th for whatever reason. I don't want Wyatt to go out there in a field of 5 cars and win every week.
Right.
That's not good for him. So that's what we do. We go up to Indiana. We go all over the place. I have a joke. I've spent the night in more Walmart parking lots than I've shopped.
I did that with Schrader a lot.
And I shop at Walmart a lot too.
And some of the Walmarts won't let you park.
They won't. There's a website you got to go on and look. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say that it makes me really happy that I thought I was the only one that, I told your brother, I said, listen, when my NASCAR career is over, I'm going to go dirt racing. Your brother, Dale Jr., said, I'm going to go late model stock racing. But I never, what makes me so happy is that you and I were these big NASCAR people. I've been on national TV. I run 905 races, but your lingo fits right in with all the dirt daubers, English
fun.
Creek and Coles County.
Yeah.
And I also saw on social media where you liked somebody coming along in USAC Nation. You really got it going on, don't you, with dirt racing? You're a dirt racer.
It's fun. I love it. I mean, it's easy and not complicated, right? You roll in there and there's some tracks that are just great and have awesome facilities, and there's other places where they're just little shitholes,
Yeah, you're
making the best out of it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the grandstands getting dirt thrown all over me. I got my dirt crap shoes, and I mean, I don't look like $1 million when I get there. Yeah. I'm in my jeans and tees and muddy clothes and
ready
to go. I'm making food. I'm doing the logistics. I'm whatever.
Yeah, and this, when we talk, sometimes I like to give my own commentary. I want this to be a lesson to some of the people out there listening to Kelley, because we all were at NASCAR and we had to shave because we had to be presentable for our sponsors. We're racers at heart, aren't we, Kelley?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's actually very relaxing to just put on jeans and t-shirt and be normal. Okay.
And I appreciate people at the racetracks when you run into me just to treat me normal. Like, I just want to be treated normal. I get up in those stands and I'll get recognized. We were at Coles County a couple weeks ago and had this gentleman start talking to me. And I mean, of course, he's like, I love what you guys do and da-da-da-da. But we were just able to have a normal conversation, like I just like for it. I'm there for the same reasons that everybody else is there, to enjoy themselves and have a good time. I'm not there to be Kelley Earnhardt.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's go to the girls. Kennedy is 17. She's absolutely a model.
Thank you. She just graduated high school last week.
I see that.
Crazy.
Tell me about Kennedy. How are you going to contain that beautiful girl? I'm sure all the guys are all over her.
So it's funny too, because I want to brag on all of my kids about racing. Carson started racing at age 9.
And I'm getting to Carson, but Kennedy just graduated.
Kennedy started racing at age 5. All of my kids have raced at Millbridge and won at Millbridge. They all love racing. And Kennedy just graduated. She wants to be a cosmetologist. So you have a daughter that does that. Yep.
Yes, Brandy.
And she wants to do hair and lashes and extensions and extensions. All
I know the logo.
Yeah. She loves makeup. So that's what she wants to do. She wants to own her own salon.
Well, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool because my middle daughter Brandy, she was up there at Burkdale and had a nice little place for a while. My daughter Brandy got to be friends with the Boats, the Blaneys. I kind of thought she was an open wheel girl because all the daughters would go there, and Brandy had she knew everything. I said, "Tell me what's up."
get me the hey, and you can get some good gossip at the hair salon.
Oh, from the girls, yeah. Okay, so Carson, I want to pose this to you. I thought she was extremely talented racer. I thought she was incredible. Tell me about Carson and why I don't see her just racing all the time.
So Carson loves racing. She started at 9 with Jimmy in the outlaw carts and ran and ran and ran. And here's Carson. Carson's very headstrong. Carson wasn't as sure that her parents knew what was best for her when Carson thought she knew what was best for her. And she wanted to go midget racing. She ran micros for a little bit, or maybe Power Eye with Chad for half a season. And she wanted to go midget racing. And so I said, and this was her first year of college. So when she was in her last part of senior high school and first part of college that year. And I said, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, Carson is just a kid that you can't tell no. She's going to figure it out, and she's going to go around you to figure it out. So you might as well jump in the boat and
she's a rebel.
Help her do it the best way, right? So I jumped in the boat with her, and we got sponsorship, and we went racing, midget racing. Yeah. I think she'll admit too, she was a really good midget racer. But she probably could have stood a little bit more time behind the wheel at various places, right? So during that year, she had probably about 4 wrecks that were pretty bad wrecks. She tumbled out of somewhere there in, they raced in weeks, whatever the Tuesday to Saturday is or whatever.
Illinois. Yeah. Illinois Midget Week. Yeah. Indiana.
One of those weeks that she ran, I forget where she was at, but I think it was Oklahoma. She tumbled out of the, over the side, and
tumble means violent wreck.
Yeah, violently flipped out of the racetrack.
Schrader says I tipped. I'm like, Schrader, you look like a dog. You look like a dog that got a hold of a cat. You wrecked violently. Oh yeah, that's just tipping. I'm like, y'all are crazy.
And then she had another, I think somewhere in Arizona towards the end of the season, the same thing happened. She had some concussions, had to go to the ER, all that good stuff. So we just really, I think she decided in her heart of hearts, like, man, I've flipped around. I'm like, man, mama, this is enough. Like, this is a lot. And so that just kind of dissipated. And she works for the car store now. So she, the late model car store.
Yeah, Kelley.
Yep, she runs social and digital and marketing for the car store. So she's having a lot of fun. She's here in my office, which is great. She finally, Kenny, I've always heard this, and you raised 3 daughters, that you lose your girls somewhere around, I think it used to be like 15 to 19, but it might be more like 13 to 19 now. And that they come back to you. And that's what happened with her. Man, I could not tell her what to do and how to do anything. She would not follow my advice. And now it's, Mama, I wish I'd have listened to you. Mama,
Yes, they come around because
so
my daughters are, what are they, 30, 34, 36. It's insane. They love their mother. They're here at the house when they can be here. I want to share this with you because I think it's funny. And Carson will hear about this because her friends will rat her out. I'm on Snapchat because it's underground and I can mother everybody, and I love it, and I don't want nobody to see it though. That's why it's on Snapchat. Well, Carson lives on there with me.
Oh yes,
and my mom was on Snapchat. And like, what? Like, no, Mom, you can't be on Snapchat. And I think Chrissy Wallace must have got her on there. My mom was so mad at me. She goes, Kenneth, you cannot say the F word like that. I said, Mom, it's just fun. It's Snapchat. I say it on purpose to get everybody thinks it's funny. She was so mad at me. I said, okay, Mom, look, I'm going to block you. So,
I blocked on Snapchat too.
So
I don't
Carson,
do Snapchat. I only got Snapchat so that I could sort of follow the girls. I don't know how to use Snapchat. My girls think it's hilarious because I'll take my phone up and I'm like, how do I do this? How do I get that? Even on Instagram, I'm still learning things to do. But Carson just said to me the other day, somebody we were talking, me, her, and Kennedy maybe, and Kenny was like, yeah, it was she put it on Snapchat, and Carson goes, I probably should unblock you from Snapchat now.
yeah, well, yeah, well, Carson, I said something, I wasn't bragging. I said, yeah, I had to block my mom. Carson piped up and she goes, yeah, I had to block my mom too.
And I don't want to know what I'm not seeing. Okay. Sometimes
She's
left
a good,
alone is best.
well, she's having a good time, and I love all your children equally.
Thank you.
I don't, I mean, they really are. You're doing a great job. Okay, so I have one question here. I do and I don't want to ask it, but I'm just going to go ahead. It says to me, I wrote this down last night, laying in bed. I said,
I do my
how,
best thinking
yeah.
in bed.
And I grabbed my phone and then I print it off, How does Junior Motorsports work? How does Hendrick Motorsports help you all? What do they supply?
Yeah. So Mr. Hendrick's obviously an owner here. Whenever we went to go drive for him, they had an Xfinity team. So we merged the two teams underneath our roof here because we had one and they had one. And in today's world, Hendrick Motorsports supplies our chassis. They supply our engines. And we just work really closely together on people, right? So obviously we have the Chevy Tech piece of it that they're involved in, but not specifically for our Xfinity series. Now they're running their own Xfinity car, so we work together with Greg Ives, who runs that program. But so there's transactions that occur, like financial transactions that occur with engines and chassis and all those kinds of things as a customer. But really just supporting. We've traded a lot of people back, right? Greg Ives came over here and crew chiefed. Kevin Meandering crew chiefed, and then went back over there. We've had engineers. We've got two engineers now. Adam Wall is one of them, the number 8's crew chief, who came over here sort of on loan from Hendrick, to hopefully advance his career back over there one day. So, we do a lot of those kinds of things together, and, just help support each other where we can. Mr. Hendrick, for me personally, is one of my greatest mentors. I call him about all kinds of things and say, hey, what are you hearing on this subject? What do you think about this? Should we look at this? Mr. Hendrick, my grandfather, Robert G.,
The G-Man.
the G-Man, worked for Mr. Hendrick. They were both from South Hill, Virginia.
Hmm.
They came to they moved to North Carolina, did the racing thing. My granddaddy was an employee over there until he passed in 94. And so Mr. Hendrick has always held a very high regard for my grandfather. And when my grandfather had a stroke, that's kind of where I met Mr. Hendrick. I was in the hospital cutting my granddaddy's toenails as a college student.
Oh my gosh. Look at you. So sweet.
And Mr. Hendrick came to visit. And I knew our families, like after Mr. Hendrick lost his son and we lost our dad, or we lost our dad first. There were just a lot of synergies. Mr. Hendrick was always talked about in very high regard to my family from my grandfather and then my mom. And so that relationship existed over there. And that's why us going to race there made sense to us in our mind. And he's just a great father figure. We hang up the phone with, I love you. I can call him with business or personal, I can call and complain to him about Dale, whatever I want to do.
Yeah. I love it. It's somebody that you feel like when you talk to, you're going to get there. You're going to get, he's going to listen and he's going to give you the right answers.
Yes.
So before we're going to the charters next, everybody, and Charlie Marlowe will clip that part, and so you don't got to get to the end, but it's about Kelley. Kelley, I heard with Hendrick. Okay, I heard something, and I want to see if you know anything about it. Speaking of mental health and psychology, and in the sport, world, being the best you can be. So in NASCAR's brutal. You got to be the best. Nobody better than me. I hear at Hendrick, and I don't know if you do it at Junior Motorsports. Hendrick, they have name tags, and the name tags have colors, and those colors, green, whatever,
red, blue, and yellow.
They mean when you approach that person, look at that color, and approach that person with this mindset. Please elaborate. I think that's incredible. I want everybody to hear this. Tell me about this.
It's called MBS, Management by Strengths. You can look it up on the internet. Mr. Hendrick uses this in all of his dealerships, and then it, morphed to the motorsports piece of it. So when we merged with them in 2008, they told us about this program, and we started to implement it as well. So one would call it a personality test, but the beauty of it, it's really not that. Like, I'm a red, imagine that. And all it is like, if you just take the axis, and if you're positive, red, blue, yellow, green, or negative, red, blue, yellow, green. So I'm positive, red and green, and I'm negative, yellow and blue. And I can tell you what those mean in a second. I'm more positive red, which means I'm dominant. And then green is extrovert, which you would probably be a high green if I had to guess. And then blue is structure, and yellow is pace. And by structure means, how do you want things wrapped up in a bow to come to you and be presented? Pace is, do you want to do things quickly or not quickly, right? Red, are you dominant? Are you, just, going to blast in there and tell everybody what to do, or not? And then green, extrovert, introvert. And so what it does is, everybody's like, oh, you're red, you're hard to get along with. I'm not. I mean, the beauty about me is I'm also a green. I'm very, outgoing and da-da-da-da-da. And so what you do is you match up each other. And so, like, Dale is a blue, if I'm not mistaken. So that is structure. And so what you do is you put your graphs up, and it tells you, hey, Kelley, if you've got a problem with Dale Jr., I don't need to go in as a red because Dale Jr. is a blue. I need to go in this way and talk to Dale Jr. This is what's going to make Dale Jr. listen and respond.
Wow.
He's not going to respond if I go in with my red tendencies, because he's not a red. It's kind of like the love languages. Have you ever?
No, but I love this. It keeps me from arguing.
Yes.
Yeah, I love this.
So with our teams, we do training once a year, but these guys work on a team of 8 to 10 people, right? Or Dirty Mo Media, who has 15 employees. We have all the charts up, everybody's color, but it's great because if you're having trouble with someone work-wise, you can lean into that to, like, really understand where they're coming from and where you need to come from. The love languages, I love the 5 love languages. They do it for kids and all that now. But basically, we as people are motivated by these love languages, right? Quality time.
I'm learning.
Quality time. Affection, affirmation. So words of affirmation. Time and service, like somebody doing something for you. Let's see, words of affirmation, times, gifts, if you like gifts. And the 5th one, see, I'm not the 5th one, so I don't know what it is. I am acts of service and gifts. So, like, I like people to do things for me. That shows that they appreciate me. Mm-hmm. My husband, touch is the other one, because my husband's touch. Touch and words of affirmation. My husband likes to be hugged. He likes for me to put my arm around him. He likes for me to tell him things about him that are good, So, and that's that's what that's about, is like, if Kenny and Kim, depending on what y'all are, Kenny needs to serve Kim the way she wants to be loved.
Yeah.
Kim needs to love Kenny the way he wants to be loved. And it's not the same always, right?
Yeah. And the reason I asked this question about these colors, because when we work together in intense competition, it's the motor man's fault. It's the body man. The driver can't drive. The pit crew messed up. It could be a shit show real quick.
It can.
And I like that. I think that's pretty awesome.
It's really cool. It's very helpful. And our people would tell you that it's helpful if used appropriately.
Yeah, good stuff. And a good insight for everybody out there to understand. Okay, this is it, everybody. This is what you've been waiting for.
Charter, charter,
Uh,
charter.
charter. Okay, I'm going to start like this. Um, I've been paying attention, but I don't have a clue. Like you're the boss. You are the boss. Okay, but from what I see right now, um, these teams and you and Dale Jr. You guys replied, "Well, we're 30 million short," and that was famous. So it appears to me
That
right
riled
now.
up a lot of people.
I'm going to say this and I'll let you go. It appears to me that teams are only the charter system is only worth what teams are willing to pay. It's not like the Dodgers. They're worth 40
You can't put a value on it. Yeah.
trillion dollars. You know, so
Yes.
go ahead.
So this is what I know about business. Okay. In any business that you run, you have an earnings before taxes, an EBITDA, your profit, right? So if I run a business and I make $10 and I spend 5 of it, my EBITDA is 5, right? And so when you go into a business, you typically buy a business based on those earnings, and it's you apply a multiple to it. So Kenny, if you have a business and it makes $5 a year, I'll give you $40 because I'm going to give you a multiple of 8 and value your business. And, I'm going to take this business and build on. So my value, that's what you're talking about when you're talking about the value of the Red Sox or the Yankees or the football teams or whatever. Here's the problem. And I've always said something's only worth what somebody will pay for it, right? I mean, everybody asks me, what's this diecast worth? I don't know. What will you give me for it? What's this diecast worth?
Yeah.
What will you give me for it? And here's the problem with charters, in my opinion. They sit on your balance sheet as an appreciating asset. Nobody knows what to pay for them because the business model to running a cup team is not a profitable business model. So I can't tell you that my cup team will make $2 million every year. And there's a value in that. There's a value. I mean, everybody wants to be in business to make money, right? And so the charter, while I love that it is an asset that can appreciate, it also has a contract, 7-year contract tied to it. Those charters don't have to exist after that 7-year contract.
So that's worth nothing. Then there's no charter.
I mean, right now they're essentially worth nothing because this contract's about to expire that they're working on. They're proving that it's whatever you'll give for it. Gamebridge paid $40 million.
Jesus,
charter, right? I mean, Spire, right?
And you're just saying that it's true.
It's true. The charter, the Stewart Haas charters, I don't know what they're going for, but word on the streets, they're going for $25 million.
That's a big
right?
gap.
Yeah, it's a big gap. Word on the street is the last charter that sold before all that was 13 million, So my problem with it is that it's not about the value of the charter. I don't want to pay $30 million for something that I have no clue how to measure what it's worth. None.
Right.
And I don't want to pay $30 million for something that I also over here in the business model, I got to have 20 more million to run my race team, and I might not make any money.
Yeah, right.
Right.
We're so sponsorship driven.
Yes.
The fans, they mean well, but the fans say, Wallace, you live in that $1 million home.
Yeah.
How do you say you didn't make no money?
Right.
And I tell them, I said, you don't make. I win the Daytona 500 and I break even.
Yeah.
I made the money on sponsorship. JEGS pays me.
Relationship.
JEGS pays me money.
Right.
Priority Aviation pays. It's my sponsorship is where I make, if I make anything. But as far as running 5th in an Xfinity race, it's a joke.
Yeah.
You run 5th, you get 12 grand, something silly like that. I think collectively it's a very difficult subject.
It is. Could we put down 30 million? I mean, yeah, we can round up $30 million. Does it make sense to round up $30 million? That's the question. It's not really about what it costs. It's about what makes business sense and sense for the future in an asset that you're going to put. Would anybody out there buy a $500,000 house if,
And in 7 years, they take it from you.
yeah, in 7 years they take it from you? Or, I mean, I know that the value of houses are dependent upon the market and all that, but you wouldn't knowingly buy a $500,000 house that you can't decide how much is it for, or it costs you more to live there.
And it's a flood zone.
You just wouldn't do it. Yeah, you
Right.
just wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's calm down for sake, me and you both with the charter. Well, here's what I say. I'm just simple. I say NASCAR says, for as long as NASCAR's in the game, all charters are worth this. That
Yeah.
way, if you, I'm just okay. Don't nobody listen to what I'm saying. This is inside Herman's world.
We don't
Inside
know which
Herman's.
skinny this is coming from.
Yeah. Well, this is the business one. I listen. You look at Bud Moore, Junior Johnson. They quit. They had nothing. All they had was brick and mortar. Old junky old buildings that had been there for 100 years. I would have liked for there to be, okay, if you are in NASCAR and there's only 39 spots, each one is automatically worth, whatever number you want. Calm down, everybody. I'm just going to say a number for sake. 20 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bud Moore, when he got old and couldn't walk anymore, and he said, listen, I can't walk anymore. My kid's roughed up. Somebody want my spot. And he got $20 million.
Yes, for his spot.
For his spot. That,
absolutely.
to me, that's all I'm looking at.
So that's what I also want to say, because I mean, I got so many thoughts. First off, NASCAR as a sport rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, racing is just feeds my soul above anything else. Competition, just everything that we do here. Like we've got a badass sport, right?
Yeah, we love it.
We love it. I mean, we can't get enough of it. The fans can't get enough of it. They're showing up each and every week. I mean, it's all great. Economics matter, and they got to get the economics right. That's the problem. So your NFL and your MLBs and all these people, and this is the problem that we have as NASCAR. We were the Junior Johnsons and the Bud Moores of the world, and we want to be who owns the Yankees, or we want to be John.
Well,
Henry.
it used to be George
John Henry of
Steinbrenner.
the Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
John Henry of the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But what it takes to get there is going to be painful for somebody.
Yeah.
Because you just can't flip the switch. Because we have too many constituents. We have tracks that have infrastructures and investment and constituents. We have race teams that have infrastructure, constituents, and investment. We have NASCAR that has all of those things. We have drivers. Like, somebody has to lose to get to be the John Henry of NASCAR for us to become like other sports. And that's the goal. That's what Denny Hamlin's fighting for. That's what these people are fighting for. It's just that it's not going to work for all 36 teams in the sport today. Someone's going to lose.
And I agree with that because, Major League, now what I'm going to say has to do with our sport.
Yeah.
Not everybody's equal. And I know people get upset about that, but I'm sorry.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. When I look at Major League Baseball, our Cardinals, our 11-time world champion Cardinals, they're the second best team in all of baseball. And our value is worth way less because the city of St. Louis is small. Okay, so there's less people to pay money. Now, the Yankees, Chicago, Dodgers, they're worth way more than us because there's way more people in their city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Never thought of that.
So we are the second greatest baseball team in history. 11, and we're not valued very high.
Yeah.
Because we don't have no people.
Yes.
So, okay, we can go on forever.
Yeah.
But let's have fun with this now. And people don't like it anymore when I say we're coming to an end, because there are people that love listening to you, Kelley. So I'm trying to train myself to say we're coming to the end. Okay, we're not coming to the end.
No,
Okay,
don't come in.
my notes say this, and this is something new. I'm using my notes as a side gig. Like
I brought pen and paper in case you said something that made me want to talk about more. So I
I
hear you.
love it.
I like it.
Okay, people expect Kelley and Dale to be Cup Series owners.
Mhm.
I say that's a big burden at 50 years old.
It is.
Comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you look at where, if you think about what it means to be a cup owner, what it means to be a cup owner today is that I need a very valuable charter to make it work. Do I put out the money for that charter today at 51 years old? And Dale's turning 50. Wait, I'm turning 52. He's turning 50.
We're all of age.
We're all of age. We're over 50. Ugh. So I hope I get to retire at 65. I hope that I can go enjoy some life. And Dale's like in a whole second life of his life, right? With marriage and kids and all that kind of stuff. So it's like you have this asset over here that can appreciate and provide value long term, but how hard you have to work to make the business model work. And do you want to work that hard for the next 10 or 15 years when you already worked 25 years really hard to do what we do now and to be what we are now? We've got Dirty Mo Media rocking and rolling. Our Xfinity team, I could run 8 to 10 cars if I had the facility and the ability. It's flourishing from the standpoint of being on track. Dale's doing TV. Dale's doing a lot of great things. So we have a lot of great stuff going on,
Yeah.
We want to be cup owners. It just has to make sense. And there's a lot of variables for it to make sense.
Here's what I'm going to be a fan and pretend you're not listening to me right now. I'm at a bar. Man, I'll tell you what them Earnhardts ought to do. One of those, like Hendrick ought to say, we're going to give you Kelley $5 million a year. We're going to give Junior $5 million a year to let us use the Earnhardt name. Mm-hmm. And they're each going to make 10 appearances a year. But if I was them Earnhardts, I wouldn't be involved in any business transaction because then they'd have to work so hard. What's that sound like?
I mean, we already work hard. We work really hard.
$5 million's not enough for each of you.
No. I mean, I guess, that would be easy. We've talked to investors. We could get the money. Like I say, it's not about that.
Gotcha.
It's about, we could get the money all day long. We are the kind of people that want to be responsible for our own success.
Yeah.
We have skin in the game. People ask me, oh, so how often do you go to work? I go to work every single day. My day starts at 6 a.m., my first cup of coffee. I'm in this office at 8:30. I leave this office at 5 o'clock every day, except when I'm traveling with Wyatt.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people we are. We just want to control our business. We want to influence our business. I want to be here for my people. I want my people to know me. I want to know they know who they work for.
Yeah.
And that's just how we operate. That's just, I got a email, funny story, just because you were pretending to be a race fan. I got an email yesterday that said, I don't have to read this and I don't have to respond, but this was their idea. Their idea was to go in business with Marcus Smith. He owns X many tracks. They gave me the whole schedule of the tracks that we could go run, and everybody should just leave NASCAR and go do that like they did with IndyCar.
Yeah, well,
everybody's got an opinion.
And you know what? You and I know history. The last time that all the Cup guys boycotted, that was very messy at Talladega. They took the Xfinity Series, made them run the Cup Series. And we both want good. And I got to tell
There's no good in that for anybody.
No,
everybody loses in a situation like that.
Yeah, and I remember Chip Ganassi roughing your brother up, saying, "Come on, Dale, you need to be a Cup owner." It's like 8 months ago.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, why would you want to be a Cup owner when everything's all good? But okay, this is truly the fun end. You chewed my ass out. I texted you one time. I said, "Hey, Kelley, Kelly." And you said, "There's an E in there." Kelley. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I usually have to, you know what's hilarious is like, especially when I email people and they write me back and spell my name wrong. My name's at the bottom of the email.
Yeah,
My
right.
name's in the email address. That really irritates me. But I've had to spell it. Did you know? Let me leave you with the fun fact because
Yeah.
Dale just found this out. I am Kelley. My middle name is King. My dad named me Kelley King. My grandmother Earnhardt was Martha King. My dad wanted to name me Kelley because he bought all of his race parts from Kelley Auto Parts, whose family was Winston Kelley, the
Oh
Winston
my.
Kelley in our sport. Winston's dad owned the auto parts store in Kannapolis, where my dad went at 20 to go buy these race parts. And he loved the name Kelley. And my mom wanted to name me Jacqueline.
Jackwell or Jack Ellen?
Like with a Q, Jacqueline.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Sharon. I'm not a Sharon or a Jacqueline.
Jacqueline's a good. I like the name Jacqueline, but
I'm neither.
Well,
and they couldn't figure out anything to go with Kelley, and they finally, my dad's like, Kelley King. And so I was just telling Dale that the other day. He didn't know I was named after Winston Kelley's family for the auto parts store. So that's where that spelling came from. So we can blame it on them.
And we're going to keep leaving. We're keep ending. And then when I went to, I flew to Charlotte yesterday and was on the last hub, and I saw
so
Winston.
Sad.
I saw Winston Kelley, with MRN and runs the Hall of Fame. Kelley, it really is amazing how many people we just look at and we go, they working, but they really are. This is NASCAR is their life.
Yeah.
I just learned something from
you
about Winston Kelley.
A really, if I could sum up NASCAR, I would say NASCAR equals passion. Period.
Very good.
Every single person that touches this sport is passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's what drives it. That's what drives all your decisions in life is passion.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all very passionate about it.
Well, two things. First of all, I love you.
I love you.
If I could hug through there, I would hug you. Listen, everybody, you just listened to the great Kelley Earnhardt Miller, and you can listen to this in podcast form, and it's a long one. So you're going to be able to listen to her from home on the way to work, then back home, then on your way back to work. This was a good one, and you can find this in iTunes and Spotify. Kelley, thank you so much.
I want to get in the top 5 at least, okay?
Kenny
podcast.
You can't. My goal, I tell Charlie, I said, Charlie, when we get to 100,000 subscribers, I'm quitting.
Okay.
I want the silver trophy. That's all it's about.
You want to quit when you're on the top, right?
But yeah.
All right. It's been a ton of fun. Tons of fun. I love you.
Yeah.
I love all your commentary. You're one of the most fun people to follow on social media and listen to, and you just tell it like it is, and I love it.
No, we're all the same. I don't do anything in NASCAR anymore, so I just. All right, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you later.